to answer some of the questions. I may not be able to answer all of them, but I'm here to answer some of your questions and to sort of have some feedback as to how you are feeling about this exhibition. So, you know, in this exhibition we have 43 pieces on the walls, and in the bin over there we have another 44 pieces, with a few of them missing right now. And so, you know, if this exhibition is about that, the title of the exhibition is called Facing Changes, and it happened during the pandemic. You know, of course, everybody had a little change during the pandemic, whether it's a mishap or something nice happened, you know. But for me, over these past few years, in the river towns has actually changed somewhat. You know, I mentioned, or I privately mentioned to Tim, but he did put it in the paper, that I had a near death experience in Dobbs Ferry. I think it was winter of 2021. Yes, and the car stopped on me.
What happened?
But
I'm sorry.
What happened?
What happened?
I was crossing the street, and I don't think he saw me. I don't think he saw me because he was coming out of that side street. I don't think he saw me. But when I saw him, the only thing I could think was, don't let me fall. I don't want to be in the street. And I could feel myself doing that. And I touched the car, and it stopped in my head. And I shook like heavy wind in trees, yeah. But I didn't fall. And he was, I don't know how he felt, but he just took off. He just said, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, yes?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So that was one of my experiences that I had that was very traumatic for me. And, you know, being in the house, you know, really pushed me, you know, another way. I would come up sometimes, go up sometimes to the studio, and Neil is so good at calling and asking me, do you want to go up to the studio? And I'd say yes. And so sometimes, maybe once in 2 weeks or so, we would head up there. He would head to his studio, I would go to mine. But these are some of the things that I created during the pandemic, because you would not believe how many I created. This is just a small portion of what I created during the pandemic, very tiny portion. And then in the upcoming weeks, you know, leading up to this, I decided that I would focus more on this exhibition, and that's what I did, because even my wonderful client over there is saying, I have not seen some of these before. So, but I did work on you know, it's like something new that was born in here. You know, it's like a rebirth. And so I named one of the paintings after that, of the rebirth. It's over there. And I think it's number, I'm not sure which number it is. I should have one of those lists. Please, Alison, thank you. Yes, so various paintings here have somewhat of a meaning. Yes, thank you. So rebirth is number 10 on the list. I think rebirth. Yes, I have two paintings that are called rebirth. There are two paintings that are called rebirth, two collages, and it's number 8. Number 8 on the list is that painting. That was the first one that I decided that I was going to launch this exhibition from. And that rebirth, it's just, it came. Someone sent me a gift at one of the times and said, look what I found. And they were like bits and pieces of paper. I'm like, what am I to do with this? You know? And then just sitting there alone sometimes sort of give me these inspirations. You know, I get into my thoughts and I'm like, why don't you do something with these paper, Madge? You know? And maybe the person who sent me the paper thought I would do something with the paper. So I began this work. And I sifted through the paper and at the time, and what I did, I found colors that were sort of similar to each other, put them aside. And, you know, and I began this was how it began for this show. You know, it's called Rebirth. And I put it in the thing, and I put it in this creative piece, and it looked somewhat Chinese. And I said, okay, sure, you can go that way. Because as an international artist, I tend to do, whether it's Chinese or Brazilian or anywhere. You know, there's one piece in the bin that's Africa. I pay tribute to Ethiopia. So I go various ways. But I was happy that the Asian field happened to just stumble into my train of thought. So, and that's how that piece happened. You know, another piece, which I really want to talk about today, is that piece, Waiting to Exhale.
What number?
Number
16.
16. Yes, yes, that was a piece I was struggling with today for the sale. Waiting to exhale. Sometimes something happens in our life that makes us so happy and so joyful, you know, and you just want to. Sometimes you just want to explode with this joy, you know. You want to tell your friend what happened. You want to tell your wife what happened, or your husband, you know. And so you have this waiting. That's waiting to exhale, you know. And when that joy is shared, that's exhalation, you know. So that's how I came by that piece. I was making new discoveries and just wanting to show it to the world, you know. And so that piece came out of that, waiting to exhale. So, you know, there are other pieces here. There one piece that is that was on the ad for the promotional piece. It's called Silence, and silence can be very loud at times, you know. And that piece in particular, I found when I found that I was working on this piece, and it was saying so much to me. The eyes were there because I like to do the eyes last. And the eyes were there closed. And I looked at the piece and I was, what? And then I heard silence. And I just left the eyes. That's how I work. You know, I left it right there. And, you know, there are other paintings that I leave as well when it says, you know, just leave me alone. You know, I have other paintings like that. And there's one particular painting in the studio that I just shared it online, work in progress, and everybody said, oh, but that's finished. And, you know, I just left it. I left it, and it became such a wonderful painting to help me through my career. And I left it right there, I never finished it. And then when I look at the painting, I can see written words in the painting that no one else sees. And I'm like, what is this language you wrote, Madge? And then I just left it alone, and I left the painting alone. Because that painting was actually the door to my going into these abstracts that I do. So I followed that way. I also do abstracts, you know. You have one of my pieces. Other people here have my abstract pieces. But, you know, my focus right now is on the face. The facing changes. We see people every day, and we look into their eyes, and we cannot actually see what's going on within them, but their eyes tell us a story. You know, whether they're calling us for a hug, or whether they want to share their joy with you, or, you know, you see various things in people's eyes. They're windows to the soul. And so I decided that, you know, it was late, really late, that I decided I was going to focus more on portraiture. You know, and yes, because I do other things, but you know, the pandemic brought portraiture to me, and so I'm focused on that. Who knows how the wheel will turn? You know, because I'm like that when it comes to my work. I just like jump onto something, just discover something. I discover myself in my work a lot. I discover things that no one else has shown me, you know, because I'm self-taught. And so with the millions of work that I do, you think I have millions? I have so many pieces that each time I go to something, it's like writing a line in a book. You know, it's like writing another line in a compilation of words. That's how my work is. And I'm never empty of my work, never. You know, people will go through like I'm never empty. There's always something there in me. And because, you know, I'm a widow now, and when my husband was about to die, he asked me, what are you going to do when I'm gone? And I'm saying, of course, my work, you know. And I have sunk into my work. And plus, again, I lost my son. That, too, was like a catapult. That catapulted me into what I'm doing today, because I was basically doing abstracts after my son passed away. I was doing some crazy work, and that year in particular, 2017 into the early part of 2018, I did almost 1,900 pieces of work.
Wow.
Yes. And then I realized that if I don't get away from that, it would slaughter me. So I had to pull myself away from that madness. Go to eat, going to, you know, do the other things with my life, and especially eat, and go on and move on. And I had to tell myself that I'm moving on. And so then the pandemic hit, and this is what came out of all that silence and that real quiet. Because sometimes I go outside to look for a bird, and I couldn't see one. Everything was quiet. It was creepy, you know. So, you know, working with self and a lot of these things. I remember one day Neil came into my studio and saw one of my pieces, the pieces of The Hands of Time. It's like, why did you do that? You know? But my work is what I am. You see me going, you see my pieces. This has become a part of me now. You know, it's simply a part of me. You know, I wouldn't do anything else, no matter how hard it gets or how challenged I am. I don't think I could actually do anything else besides my art. You know, I call it my work because every one of us have work to do. And this is my work, which I think will take me home. You know, so it helps me sometimes, you know, to eat. But again, this is the one work that artists do that doesn't really feed them, you know. But I cannot leave this work. This work has become so much of me, and me it. So, you know, some of the pieces here, they're really soulful pieces. I live on the river, and I have an attachment to the birds. And one of the pieces here, this piece I had rescued a bird, an eaglet actually, and this piece came out of that. That was during the pandemic that I rescued that bird, and I had that bird in my arms for 3 hours, driving it around and trying to find help, and you know. And when I released it, it walked away, and it gave me such a the way it walked away says, "Don't you ever forget me," you know. You know, that just that, when I looked at the back of that bird just going, it said that, you know, don't you ever forget this. So I tried to put that bird in my painting a little bit. Not all of that bird is in this painting. You know, this represents the river, you know. But that bird had a little color in its face, right here. Such a beautiful green, you know. I haven't painted that one yet, but I will, you know. So, and this is how this came up. This, you know, and this one here is titled, number 24, River Nymph. Oh boy, yes, this piece is Defiant Mist, huh? Yes, you know, sometimes things happen in your life that gives you that. It just changes your nature, that defiance, you know, that piece. Yes, a lot happened. I tell you, a lot happened during the pandemic. Some I can repeat and some I cannot, or I wouldn't in this setting. But a lot of stuff happened during the pandemic. This one came out of that time as well. You know, sometimes you gotta take a stand and say, well, you know, you have to take a stand. And this is what this piece is about, you know, spiritual health. This is another one. I like to stand and watch the birds at the river. You know, like that. You know, and the Kimball. You know? Yes, and this came out of that. I just love to watch them playing, you know. This piece over here is called, this is one of my favorite paintings. Number 27 is called Break of Day. Oh yeah, Break of Day. It's like, oh. And when it says Break of Day, it doesn't mean like, you know, the sun is gonna come out. It means I had a dawning in here. So this is what this is about. But, you know, but I use the moon as, and the Palisades as me living here, living on the river here, and I got a break of day. I get an idea. This painting here reminds me of a moon. I had gone on a retreat upriver, and I would wake up those 3 mornings when I'm there, and I would look at the moon. Every morning, like at 3 o'clock, I would see the moon going down. This is representation of that retreat I had gone to up there in Austin. Yes. So every painting here has something to do with life, you know, in general, my life that I live, you know. And this piece was, you've seen this here before, Enrico, but it means so much to me, you know. So, it took a while for me to put it up for sale. You know, these are the ones that are already sold. Is this piece here. It's called Betwixt and Between. And sometimes you see the little kids, you know, like pushing each other to see what's going on. You know, that's let me get in here. I want to see too. This is what this is about. You know, just togetherness. You know, I'm from a culture where we are always, you know, so if a stranger, a nice car come into the neighborhood or tourists come, you know, they run to like, oh, let me see, you know, let's get between these two. So that's that folk artist story of past childhood days. Some of them are relatives, and this one is another piece that really, it was early in the pandemic that I did this piece. This one means so much to me, you know, so much. But it's called 25 Passion Flowers. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, so, I have relatives, I have some of my spiritual pieces here, which you can, talk about. I cannot talk much about the spiritual pieces because they're made in another setting. It's really a different setting that comes out of. But some of this piece, it's called New Dimension. When all of this dawned on me, I went and I made a painting. It's New Dimension. I'm at that new place now where it's new. It's shocking even to me where I am with this. Yes.
Is that number 20? That one?
New Dimension. Yes, number 20. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when that piece, I was like skipping and hopping when I created that piece, taking it into the studio. I was like, wow, this is it. This is it. And that was like, I did that in a dream, This is how I would see this thing and I just do it.
Would you say that that's a mixture of your portraiture and your spiritual work?
Oh, with the piece that is,
Like a blend?
yes. It's a mixture of the collages and my work, that's
But
on the side of
the
me.
spiritual and
Yes.
the portrait work.
Yes, because that came like a dream, that piece. Oh, some of my work, I go back and I look at them and I ask myself, how did you do that? I wouldn't try to teach that because it's different. It's just every piece comes from someplace else within me. And somebody asked me one time, how do you think of these? I said, I have lived millions of years. I feel personally within myself that I've lived all these years, and this is where I've met these people. It's my lifetimes, and because they just come out of me. Where have I seen them before? Where have I seen them? They have to be coming from a place.
So you're conjuring them up from your
my
history.
From my inner being. Yes.
You're not working from photographs.
No, I never do.
And you're not working from a sitter.
No.
These are...
Unless it's a commission or...
Right.
Yes.
Right.
If it's commissioned, I have to work with a sitter or from photos.
Right.
But or if I'm doing myself, I work from a photo sometimes. But I like to do things like if I remember my dad, for instance, I try to remember when I knew her at this age, and I bring her in. I have a photographic memory. I'm blessed with that. And I pull her up, and then I paint her. And I just sit there and look at her in my photographic memory and do her. Family members are like that. I just finished doing that younger version of my dad recently. And that's how he looked when he was young, So, I just put them here and I go back to look at them, how they were. My grandmother the same way.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just have an observation. The color, your use of blue is extraordinary.
Yes.
But in this painting in particular, number 17, it's a blue that you see in Indian religious work.
Wow.
And it's that color blue where some of their deities are painted that color.
Wow.
And when I saw it,
Maybe I lived in India.
You probably did. Because that blue
Because
in particular is
really?
the color of this one religious deity, and I don't remember which one it is. But every time you see
Krishna's usually that color.
Is it Krishna?
That's true.
It's that color.
Isn't that an amazing thing to say?
I see that color blue.
Wow.
And I immediately connected. Well,
I'm awed myself.
Yeah.
Because really there was not
it wasn't conscious, it
Yes.
just came out. But
Yes.
it is that color, it is Krishna. It's
Wow.
Krishna.
Now that painting has taken on a new life, a whole new life. Because it's my connection to the birds, why I did that. And again, it's that call. The birds, I find that they just fly near me. They come near me, you know? It's strange, but they come near me.
No,
Yes.
send them a message.
Yes,
And
they
they
come,
respond.
and animals do that with me, like a cat or a dog. They come, you know, and I don't know what it is. There was a dog living in my building. I'm changing a little bit. There was a dog, a tiny dog living in my building. That dog would go crazy when it saw me, and if the owner pulled it away, it would bite the owner. That dog wanted to come and give me a hug. And when they were moving, he had to come and say, well, we're moving, but you know, I want her to say goodbye to you. You know? Yes, that's how my relationship with animals are. I don't know, maybe I was a zookeeper somewhere in another life, you know, but this is how I relate to some animals. I haven't been in touch with the big ones yet, you know, like the elephant and the hippo, you know, and all that. But the little ones, like the birdies, and the birdies would come near my window in the mornings. And sometimes that's all I need. Sometimes just a little twitter from a bird to really, you know, get my alertness up and get me on, you know, just get me on track. And you know, sometimes I can hear them, like in the I hear the birds, no matter what time of the night, I'm listening for them. I can remember one night during the pandemic that the birds were up chatting. They were chatting at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, what is going on here? You know, and that was before all that announcement. They were like having a conversation with each other. And I'm like, because I like to write about these things. So I'll get up and I'll write about it. They were chatting among themselves like, what's going to happen? You know, and yes, and I also listen to the insects. They are among my friends too, because they play a part. They play a role in everything that we do as well. We're all together in this world. You know?
Like you said that you painted your father
I painted my father recently.
recently. Is he the only man you've painted?
No, I have a lot of I have a lot of men. Yes, I paint a lot of guys.
They just make the cut here.
But they just sit in the studio, you know. And it was this week I pulled out one guy. I'm like, what are you doing here? I painted you so long ago, you know. But nobody buys the guys. Nobody buys. No, they don't buy. I mean, I love men, but nobody buys them. They come and they want a woman, you know. You know. So, but I'm still painting men, you know, and I still share them. But maybe the next exhibition I'll show a man. Yeah.
How does music influence you?
Oh Lord, music. Music. I love the drums. I'm a drummer, a lady. I want to hear the drums constantly. And one of the things I yearn for is to have a drum. You know, it's on my bucket list.
What kind of drum? They're all
Oh, the
different
big
kinds.
boomers, you know. Yeah, yes. You know, when I grew up around the Pocomanians of Jamaica, and my mother was a Pocomanian, and my mother's job at the time in the church was to beat that big drum, you know. And my father played one of those drums. My father loved to do that, and I also have like my father's aunts and you know sisters that were very involved in the Pocomanian movement, which is not a religious movement, it's a spiritual movement. And so I grew up, you know, like tying my mother's hair with it, putting that wrap on. That was that piece over there. Was how my mother dressed when she was ready for her Pocomanian thing. Yes.
I don't understand the term. Could you explain it to me?
Nanny is part of Jamaican history. She was like Harriet Tubman here. Nanny was to Jamaica like Harriet Tubman is to America. And so when she came to Jamaica, she didn't spend so much time she escaped, and went to the hills, and she was from the Ashanti Karamanti tribe. So she is the one who actually brought her religion of the drums. I call it religion. It's the movement of the drums, the spiritual movement of the drums to Jamaica. And she was very spiritual. She was a spiritual person. She never connected she had brothers, but she never connected with the male subject. She, was like an asexual that just basically worships. And she would go out at nights. She would be the one that, she was her own sentry. She went out at night to look at what the British were doing. She never trusted anyone to go and do that, And then when she overcame some of the struggles with the British, she would go back and they would have that big drumming religious dance party. And she out of that was their meditation. Yes, for them, that's meditation.
It's the heart.
Yes. So I was actually looking online this morning at a place in Africa where I was so shocked. I was shocked they were doing the same thing like that. I'm like, what is this? And I could hear myself being reminded that Nanny came from Africa, So the whole dance, because when the drums started, I changed. I personally change when the drum starts playing. I'm a different person. I take it on, I feel it in my veins, I feel it in my bones, and that's what makes us move, and sometimes you will see a Pocomanian up in the air. They would rise. You would not understand how they got up there, but the music takes them up, and the tempo of the music. Why don't you bring some drums today? The tempo of the music. I used to go here sometimes in town here years ago when the drummers would go out there and I would go dance and then stuff would happen.
Those are the Pocomanians of Hastings.
So with that Ashanti blood, my father and my grandfather and my grandfather's father, they were Maroons. So I have a little Maroon blood in me, So, and Maroons they call them Maroons because they were left behind by the British.
They were maroons.
After the Emancipation Movement, yes. So, but they actually look different from their darker skin, eyes of different color, and some of them are very tall. They actually, Ashanti people are very tall people. And right now there's a place in Portland, in Jamaica, Portland or St. Thomas, that still speak the Karamanti language. Yes, they carry the tradition on, so there's still a lot of history to be discovered in Jamaica as regards to the Africans who went there first, and that's Nanny's tribe, because she escaped all of that stuff from the British, and she would always be free in the slaves like Harriet Tubman. Yeah.
I just have an observation with your art and you as an artist. There's a courageousness in it because you have to be present, and you have to be present with your feelings and your thoughts in the world around you. And so many of us, we might be present sometimes, but we need to escape, and it's too much for us. And you stay there. You are present in this life, and I think that's remarkably courageous.
Oh, I think that's defiance. But it's some of my work, and you will see it in my work, because some of them I will be very hurt by something, very hurt. And I go to my canvas, and this is probably what will come out. You know, it's some things that happens to you. You know, people cannot see what's going on. You know, they can. But if you would see my heart, if you could see my heart, this is painting. If you could see my heart, what's happening in my heart, that's just standing up for you, standing up for yourself. You know, we have to have that courage to stand up for ourselves. You know, a lot happens in our lives and people will just slink away, you know. But we got to stand up for ourselves, you know. And this is one of those stories. You gotta have courage and, you know, endurance and perseverance and, you know, just like face life as life is. I think we're done. So if the question you can ask, if anybody can ask a question if they'd like, but that little speech of mine is over. So if there's a particular
Any other
piece-
questions?
I have a question. I'm Allison. We met at the studio
Yes.
together, and in the studio down the hall from you. I'm curious, since you spoke a little bit about the end of your process and how you do the eyes last, and also just deciding when and if a piece is finished. I'm curious about the beginning of the process when you have the blank canvas.
Oh.
And can you just talk a little bit about how
Well,
you enter a piece?
well, some of them, as I said, I just go and put the shape of the face, you know, and then I start to paint it. And whatever comes out of that exercise it's what comes out. I just go with the brush. I go, you know, I just let it go. I don't argue or quarrel with myself wherever my painting is going. I just let it take me there. And when it's done, I'll say, okay, it may be done. But, and I find myself, I don't draw anymore. I don't draw my faces anymore. I just go to it with a brush. And yes, I'm painting freehand. Just go and, you know, and whatever is there comes out. I think it comes out of me. You know, and all this lives in me. And that is why I look at me and say, this is all, everything about this thing is in us. It's all lives in us. And we gotta find it. You know?
Any other questions?
You're welcome. How about you, Enrico?
Question?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh, first of all, I have not seen an exhibition that has startled me in the way that this one has. I mean, I walked in here because I was sitting there, and it took me aback. I mean, I couldn't just go to the desk.
I see.
But it just holds your attention and pulls you into it. And it's just so powerful. And
Thank you.
You know, one question, so especially these three pieces, the women are, they're so well appointed.
Yes.
For lack of a better phrase.
Yes.
You know, it's almost ceremonial. I did some work in Haiti when I was working at the Brooklyn Museum, and went to Kingston to collect some musical instruments.
Yes.
And
to Jamaica.
I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, so I really connected to that, you know, especially the white.
Yes.
You know, with the voodoo ceremony that we attended, and it was so intense.
No, the Pocomanian ceremony.
Yeah.
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 You see, Haitians do voodoo. Jamaica, yes.
Yes, right.
It's in Haiti, you will find voodoo.
Oh, I know.
Yes, in Jamaica, there's no voodoo.
But this is so ceremonial.
Yes, but the spirituality of them wearing the white dress, especially in the Pocomanian movement, if they're having a ceremony, they have to be in white, and it means purity.
Purity.
Yes, and so that's what it means, the white, in that. And they wear various colors, depending on the mood or the title. They're like artists, Sometimes you'll see them in red, sometimes they'll be wearing that blue or green, They wear various things, or plaid. Remember I told you, I'm telling you this today. You will find Pocomanians in plaid. They wear plaid clothes as well. And you will find in their turbans pencils, various colored pencils. Yes. It depends on who they are. And they will wear these ropes tied
What's it
around.
represent?
Well, their spirituality. Sometimes you go to first form, and then you go to second and third. So it's elevation. Yes. So, and I have been searching for these ropes here in America for years. I can't find them. But I keep those ropes in my heart. I keep it here. I would love to be wearing them, but I keep it in my heart. It's my spirituality. My grandparents, my great-grandparents were there. They were Pocomanians, and I will not deny that. And because it is a spiritual life that if once you taste it, it is good. Yes. You have just come in. Would you like to ask a question?
No. I just was told that there was an incredible artist.
Oh.
I needed to stop by.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know that you were having like
Yes, a talk.
a tour.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I'm the congressman, Jamal Bowman. I represent
Oh,
this area.
well, thank you for coming.
Of course.
You should
So-
photograph us together,
Yeah,
Mr.
so
Lady.
I just had a event at the library,
Ah.
and someone there told me about it. So I
Wow.
was like, let me stop by. and
I'm so
see
happy
what's
you
happening.
came. Yes. You got his name?
Yes, yes.
Anyway, so this is officially over. Let me meet the
Yes, yes.